Hey, what's going on, everybody? And happy Wednesday to each and every single one of you. And thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Workshops through Streamer Square. In case you haven't noticed or you've not met me yet, my name is Marvelous Play. I am your brand new workshop host. And today we're going to be covering a wide range of information concerning OBS.Live and StreamElements basics. So I hope you're ready because we're going to dive into some very, very important information. And maybe some of you out there will take that information and make your streaming career a thing, okay? But how's everybody doing today? Thank you, Wes. How are you doing? Hey, Morag. Hey, Rini, how you doing? What's up, Sloth? But like I said, happy Wednesday to each and every single one of you. Okay, so I don't want to stall you out on any of the important information because we got a lot to cover today. So we're going to get straight into it. So most importantly, why are we here? Well, today we're going to discuss StreamElements basics and the OBS.Live plugin system. So before we get into those, you need a little bit of background information about them. That would be helpful, correct? I think so, and maybe you will too. So exactly what is StreamElements? StreamElements is a streaming resource manager. It's free to use, and it's one of the newer options that's been made available to streamers as of recently. Through their website, you can manage the assets, you can manage your assets and more for your streaming channel, no matter what platform you choose to stream on. But today, we're going to use Twitch as the prime example for obvious reasons. OBS.Live, however, is their native OBS plugin that basically integrates your chat feed and your activity feed in one simple and easy to use resource, rather than going out and getting external docs and plugins and everything to kind of monitor that. It just ties it in together, okay? So more importantly, now that you know about them, exactly how do they work? Well, StreamElements hosts all of your assets like overlays, alerts, effects, commands, etc. And what sets them apart from their competition, and what I personally love about them, is that it's all cloud-based. It's a cloud-based platform, meaning whenever you need to upload an overlay, a GIF, an animation, you don't have to host it natively inside of the program itself. It's all done through the StreamElements website. So all you have to do is upload it, grab a browser source, and import it into OBS. This is key for a number of good reasons, but the most important reason being that it takes up a lot of power off of your CPU and GPU, especially if you're a streamer like me and you're running off of a single PC setup. So I think that's pretty impressive because you need every bit amount of resources that you can get, especially if you're playing very graphically intensive games or other activities on a single PC setup. OBS.Live, however, packages your camera feed, gameplay, microphone, and more into a broadcasting software. Because we all know, in order to stream, you have to have some form of software in order to make it happen. Whether you go to Twitch or any of their other competitors, it all basically needs to come through some platform or some means of software. So this is their way of kind of integrating in with OBS. And the reason I love that they're going with OBS for their plugin is because, one, it stays up to date with the current version of OBS. Every single time an update comes out, you get the latest version. It's ready to go, no questions asked. And two, it's just very, very streamlined and simple. Takes a lot of headache and a lot of guesswork out of the streaming process, okay? So what we're going to cover today is going to be a wide range of topics, but we're going to start from the basics. So today I'm going to go over the initial sign-up and installation process, configuring your bit rate and stream key, which are both very important. We're going to set up a scene in OBS.Live from scratch and maybe give you a couple of pro tips along the way if you're into that sort of thing. And then second, we're going to add some assets into the overlay editor on the StreamElements website itself, where we'll basically create your alerts, your overlays, and we'll show you how to do maybe one or two variations and then show you how to import those into OBS itself so that you can become stream ready in no time, okay? So with that being said, if you're ready, we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right, so first things first, if you want to download OBS.Live and take advantage of StreamElements, you're going to need a platform by which to log in with. So whether you use Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, I don't know if I'm allowed to say those on a Twitch channel right now, but whether you're allowed to say that or not, I'm saying it. You're going to need some kind of streaming platform that's going to allow you to log into StreamElements. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right here. This right here is the StreamElements website. It's very clean, it's very simple. I love it, and it's straight to the point. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and log in with my Twitch credentials on a bot account and show you the process from scratch immediately. So let's go ahead and log in. And now what you'll see is much like any other extension or anything that you add to your channel, it's going to ask for your permissions. If you're cool with the permissions, we're going to go ahead and say authorize and connect it straight to your Twitch channel. Do you also use the StreamElements bot or a local bot? I use the StreamElements bot. I love the StreamElements bot because it allows you to do so much while still being flexible enough for any beginner or advanced user to use. So that's a great question, Melissa. But I definitely prefer the StreamElements bot, 100%. And there's some other ones I can mention, but today we'll talk about StreamElements specifically. I don't stream, but this part of learning has always interested me. Then you're in the right place, Slav. Good to have you here. All right, so as y'all can see here, this is the StreamElements dashboard. The StreamElements dashboard is comprised of several different aspects that you'll see right here. When you sign in for the very first time, they're going to ask you to do a couple of different things. It's going to have your chat bot reminding you to activate it. It's going to show you how to set up so you can receive tips from your supporters and your viewers, how to go ahead and add stunning alerts and overlays, which we're going to do today, thankfully. And also you can import other tools from other sources like Streamlabs, Nightbot, and other services, which is a little thing most people don't know. If you have alerts and you have tipping services and settings from other platforms, then you can actually import those into StreamElements and, fine tune it and truly make it your own on a brand new platform, okay, which I love. Oh, you remember my name? I definitely remember your name. This is so nifty. I love learning about this stuff. Thank you, Serena. Yeah, we're going to be learning a lot today. Okay, so more importantly, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and download OBS.Live. So what we're going to do is we're going to direct ourselves to the left-hand side of the screen, and we're going to click right here where it says OBS.Live. Now, this is basically where the magic starts to happen. And let me do this real quick. We're going to put this in night mode because that is just blaring and nobody likes a blaring background. All right, so now that we're in night mode, this is the OBS.Live plugin. As you can see, it basically is OBS.Live. It literally is OBS.Live, but with StreamElements integrated in for your chat and your activity feed, making it so super easy and manageable. So once you go down, you'll scroll down here and you're going to click on the download button, okay? Which will then proceed to allow you to download and put this wherever you want to on your desktop computer. Maybe you want it on your C drive, maybe you want it on your D drive, whatever the case may be, you pick and choose where you want to download this to, okay? Now, for the sake of time, I already have it installed naturally, but you can pretty much run and understand how the download and installation process will go on your end. Now, here's one thing I want you to remember upon you downloading this. Make sure you create a desktop shortcut. This is going to be key in a pro tip I'm going to give you here in just a moment. But once you have it installed, you're basically going to go to your desktop right here. And mine is a mess, mind you, but I want to show you something real quick. You're going to go to StreamElements and you're going to right click the shortcut and you're going to go to properties. Now, here's my pro tip for you. Whether you use Streamlabs, StreamElements, or any other streaming software out there, one thing you can do is go to your advanced settings and you can click on this little tab where it says run as administrator. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, it basically prioritizes and tells your computer, I want this to be the foremost thing that you dedicate resources and memory to when I'm using it. A lot of streamers, especially new streamers, suffer from skipped frames or drop frames, things of that nature. But they don't know is if you run it in admin mode, then it basically tells your computer dedicate the majority of your time and resources on this program, and that cuts down significantly on dropped and skipped frames. If you don't believe me, try it out for yourself and let me know how you feel about it afterwards. But that's my little pro tip right there. Just speaking about it is always useful to run it in admin mode, and you'll see a difference. I had no idea about that as run as admin. Yes, Melissa, it's very, very useful. Run as admin is so good. Yes, it's really, really good. And it fixes a lot of things, so many things. All right, so now that we have it fully launched and downloaded, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and launch into OBS Live. Now, once again, as you would see on the StreamElements website, you're going to be greeted with this screen right here, which basically prompts you to connect with your Twitch account, your YouTube account, Facebook, whatever platform of your choosing that you stream to. But for today's sake, we're going to go ahead and connect with Twitch. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and authorize it with my bot account. And thankfully, I already had all this information ready to go in advance. Big brain plays right there. And let's go ahead and log in and get set up, okay? So now, here's what you're going to be greeted with when you first log in. It's going to tell you to connect to StreamElements bot, activate your tipping services, and build brand new alerts and overlays. Now, if you're somebody coming over from something like Streamlabs, then you have the ability to import your former alert box, import your tips, and you also have the ability to import your overlays from Streamlabs as well too. So I think that's very useful. And you can even bring over Nightbot if you're a Nightbot user as well too. But since none of this really applies to us today because we're doing it from scratch, we're going to go ahead and just say get started on the left-hand side. All right, next. Now we're going to go ahead and connect. So the first thing it wants you to do is connect your bot account. Your bot account is your means by moderating and keeping your chat safe for all of your viewership out there. So we're going to go ahead and we can connect to this. And chatbot is now activated. It's now connected to your channel. It's there and present and ready to help make your stream a little bit more secure and friendly. Next thing we could do the tipping. Now, for the sake of today, I won't go ahead and do this, but if you ever have any questions about tipping using their services or SC Pay through StreamElements, be sure to ask away in the chat below when we get ready to do the Q&A section, and I might be able to go into further detail. But for now, we're going to go ahead and skip this step. All right. And it says we can do it later. Awesome. So now what we have here is StreamElements OBS.Live at its most basic. I'm going to go ahead and point out a couple of key components that you need to be aware of. So right here, this is our activity feed. Basically, anytime you receive hosts, a raid, new followers, subscribers, bits, donations, tips, donations, whatever you want to call it, all of this will be located right here on this side of the screen. Right here, this is your live preview. Now, your live preview is basically a representation of what you see that's actually going out to Twitch while you're live. So anything that's seen here is what's visible on Twitch. Over to the right-hand side, we have our chat. We have our media requests. If you're a person who likes to take media requests, if you like to do songs, hopefully royalty-free songs, because we're trying to stay DMCA friendly around here, but take media requests. Now, this is the meat and potatoes of what we're going to be dealing with today, though. Down here is where it's going to be your scene collection. This is where we're going to bring in our sources, which are really going to bring our scenes alive. We have our audio mixer, and then we have a couple of other settings like scene transitions, and then all of your streaming, recording, and studio mode options. Bot still shows the StreamElements, or you can actually connect the bot account you create on Twitch. It's been 2 years since I streamed regularly. It does still show, and I'm glad you brought that up, Melissa. That's a very good question. The bot does still show up as StreamElements when you connect it. Now, however, there's a way you can go about naming your bot. If you have a separate channel that you create straight for a bot with a name that you want to give it, you can connect that to StreamElements, and it will then show up in your channel as that bot under that specific name. So yeah, you have the full option to name and customize your bot. It doesn't have to be the literal StreamElements bot every single time a command or something pops up in your chat. You can customize it and make it your own. And I might get into that later on down the road, but that's a very good question. Thank you for asking that. All right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go ahead and set up your very first scenes in OBS.Live. Now, if you've never done this part of the procedure before, then hang in there with me. It's going to be fun. It can be a little intimidating for new users, especially if you're coming over from something like Streamlabs, where pretty much everything is like cut and dry. It's very user-friendly, and it's user-friendly over here too. but I feel like you have more control and more options as far as your customization when you're dealing with OBS itself. So let's go and get started. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to build what's called a full camera scene. Now, this is typically the first scene that a lot of streamers build. Is basically their full camera, basically where they can just chat to their channel. They can watch some YouTube videos. They can discuss, live society, things of that nature. But your full screen camera is pretty much always going to be your best safe bet to get started when you're a brand new streamer. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to go down here underneath scene, and you see this little plus icon. Now with this plus icon, we're going to hit add, and we're going to create a brand new scene. I'm going to go ahead and call this one. Well, actually we have one right here. Let me rename it. But usually you would go down here plus and add one. But this one, we're going to name it full screen, if I can spell correctly. And yes, I'm spelling it that way. Okay, perfect. So now we have a brand new scene right here named full screen, which is perfect for what we're about to do. So next thing we need to do is, now that we have a scene, how do we actually make it something that's live and tangible to go to Twitch? Well, we have to add sources to the scene. And your sources are basically your engine parts. Think of the scene as like the car, basically the shell. You have it, it's ready to use, but until you add wheels, the engine, the parts, everything that makes it run, it will never move. So now we got to add the parts to the shell. So the very first thing I'm going to add here is what's known as a video capture device. Now, in other programs like StreamElements, they may call it, webcam, things of that nature. But here, video capture device is all inclusive. It basically means anything that's receiving that can produce a video feed that you can transmit to Twitch. So we're going to go ahead and select this one. And normally I would normally name this after my camera or webcam or whatever piece of hardware that I'm using, so that I can just keep the naming conventions inside of my own setup, for sanity checks. However, for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and we're just going to keep it as video capture device and add it. Now, what you're going to see pop up right here is basically the ability for us to link our camera, whatever the case may be. So as you can see right here, I'm using a DSLR camera through an Elgato Cam Link. And so if I choose to go ahead and utilize this, it'll go ahead and let me configure my settings, get everything showing up so that we can see it right here on the live preview. Now, let me see right real quick. Is it going to let me do that? Or it might not, because I'm already using it to stream to you guys anyway. So for the sake of time being, I'm not going to be able to go ahead and add it, but this is what we're going to do instead. To emulate the video capture device, I'm going to pull an image off of my desktop, which is going to be a visual representation of our red shirt bot today. So let me go ahead and grab that, and we'll act like this is my camera in action. Let's see, we just had it. It's going to be a GIF. And if you've ever seen this GIF before, kudos to you. And we're going to go ahead and loop it. And voila, that is the visual representation of our bot today. Now, if you've ever seen this, kudos to you. But this is Red Shirt Bot in its prime. So now that we have it, what you're going to notice right here is basically it's not full screen. We got to stretch it and resize it to make it full screen. I'm sorry, Beatnox, we had to do it one time. It's entertainment purposes. This is edutainment at its finest, okay? Entertainment and education. I.e. Logitech C920, Canon Rebel, etc. Exactly, Melissa. Exactly. Did I just mess that up? Melissa? I messed that up completely. I am so sorry. I apologize. But yes, this is going to basically be our placeholder for the webcam. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to resize this and stretch it to the full length of our preview so that we can get our full screen capture going. Okay. Now, the thing I love about OBS is, say you have a source like this, which when you resize it, it's a little too big. And you see how we have this excess right here that's kind of out of frame. But there's a number of couple of different things you can do. You can either keep playing with the resize to make it as big or as small as you prefer, or you can also do what I like to call a pro tip, and you can literally hold down the Alt key on your keyboard and then hold down the left click on your mouse. And this basically will bring up a green bar, allowing you to crop off just a specific side of your media source to make it fit. And see, there we go. We now have a full screen webcam right there ready to be used. Okay. So this will be our just chatting screen. Now that we have that, we are almost ready to stream, but we need a couple of more things. Now, one thing we didn't talk about is when you create a brand new source, you also create something called a desktop audio. You didn't mess it up. I changed my name from Melissa Say What to Mess. See, I knew I didn't mess that up. I was like, I know something ain't right about that. Does it matter if the element is off the screen? Like, do you need to crop it? That is a good question, Radical Links. And the answer is no. Anything that's not shown right here in the live preview will not appear on stream. Some people like me, I'm just very obsessive when it comes to things of that nature because I don't like to have things like hanging off the sides, whether top, left to right, or bottom. So I will use the Alt and the mouse to crop things to get it like that perfect size. But honestly, you don't even have to do that. If you want to, go ahead and leave this extra margin, which sometimes you might want to, then you can choose to do so. And then you also have the ability to click on your media source and with your arrow keys, move it up and down, position it left and right, however you want to do if you want it to be more precise and get it just the way you want it to be on your stream. See, there we go. It's still right there and you only see what I want you to see as far as like what's transmitting to Twitch. So perfect. Very good question, Radical. Thank you for asking that. All right, so next. We have our media source. We have our basically full screen camera. So what we need to do now is add desktop audio. So what is desktop audio? And I was just speaking about this. Your desktop audio is basically any sound that's going to be transmitted from your speakers or your headphones that the stream or your viewers can hear. So if it's emitting from your computer, the people out there can hear it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a brand new media source. So what we'll do is we'll go down here to sources. I'm going to click on this plus sign. And the funny thing about this is just like what we did with the media is it gives you a bunch of default options which you can import to make your scene a little bit more lively. But for the sake of this one, I want to go ahead and bring in an audio input capture. Or what is it? Audio output capture. Perfect. We'll get to input capture here in just a moment, but audio output capture. Awesome. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And we're going to set it to default. And in my instance, if I really want to be nitpicky, I could set it to system, which is my TC Helicon, my Go XLR. But we're going to go ahead and say OK and select the default. Audio struggles are real with all streamers. Audio is definitely one of those more tricky parts that people don't want to deal with. But it's important to understand and be comfortable with audio because so much that happens in our streams has to deal with audio. And in my personal opinion, I'm of the notion that I rather listen to a stream that has clear, crisp audio than sit through a stream with 4K resolution but horrible audio. I'm an audiophile. I take note of audio on a stream before I take clue of the visual. So I'm more audio than visual in that regards. All right. So now we have our audio output capture, which would be our desktop capture. We also have a media source and a video capture device. Now, here's another pro tip we can do. Say we have this media source, which is our GIF right here, that doesn't actually transmit a sound. But what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and right click this and I'm going to hide this because it's not actually being used. And then we have our video capture device, which we're actually not using right now. And I can hide this as well. Boom. And we're just left with the audio output capture, which would capture any audio that's coming off of my desktop. And if you're connecting like your microphone, things of that nature, and most times it'll go ahead and just add desktop audio for you. But if not, this is a simple way of course correcting that and getting it added in to your scene so you can go live and kind of start recording and messing around with it. Your cam frozen might have messed up when you tried to add it to the overlay. Really? Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me refresh real quick, Morag. Let me refresh. Are we good now? Can you see me? Hopefully you can see me. It might have tried to do that earlier when we were doing that. All right, good. You can see me. Cool, cool, cool. See, those things happen when we're live. You never know what's going to happen, but that's why we do these practice runs, and also why we have good moderators like Morag in chat. Thank you, Morag. All right, so now that we have our media and we have our audio, the last thing we need to do is add our microphone source, because who would we be to deny the world out there your beautiful, beautiful voice? Okay. You have a voice. We all have one. You have a lot to speak about. So let's give you a platform by which to speak on. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and add into my sources what's called audio input capture. All that basically means is we're looking for any source on your computer, whether it be a microphone, a headset, anything that will transmit your voice or, any sound. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to add in my microphone, which is my chat mic. And now if you see me moving right here, you'll see my voice. As you can clearly see right there, you see how the mixer is basically bopping in up and down, left and right. And that's basically my voice being transmitted into OBS so that I know that my viewers can hear me as well too. No, you're good. You're good, Melissa. Thank y'all for keeping track and letting me know. I just did a tweet on audio. It's the reason why I didn't see the cam before. Oh no, you're good. You're good, Morag. Thank you. I appreciate y'all letting me know. Yeah, low audio streamers are super frustrating. Very, very frustrating. But there's ways to prevent that and fix these things, which is why we're here at Streamer Square to kind of circumvent and help you with these things. All right. So now we're set. We have an audio input capture. We have our media source, which is going to represent our webcam. And we also have an audio output capture, which basically represents our desktop audio. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started with adding some assets into the overlay editor over on StreamElements, which is personally my favorite thing to do. But before we do that, let's kick it up a notch and let's actually build a full scene inside of OBS with like some, resizing, things of that nature. And if you have any questions about OBS.Live so far, then please go ahead and proceed to ask them in the chat. I'm more than happy to answer any and all questions, especially if it's going to help you out in your streams as well too. But let's go ahead and for the sake of it, say we're going to add a second scene. Now, the second scene I'm going to walk y'all through is going to be our in-game scene. And we're going to go ahead and name it as such while we take all of your questions out there. So in-game. In-game is basically our second scene, and it's literally what we're going to do. It's going to have the portion of your stream which shows your gameplay. And there's a number of different ways that we can do this. We're going to discuss window capture, game capture, and what it means for you in the long term of things. But before we do that, let's go ahead and add back anything that we had before. So I'm going to go ahead and under sources for in-game, as you can see, it's still highlighted right here. We're going to go ahead and add back in our media source, and we'll just use this as a representation of our webcam. Highlight that, and then we are going to click OK. And now we can move it around, we can resize it, we can do whatever it is that we need to do, just like a normal webcam feed. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add back in our audio input and output capture. Now, the thing I love about OBS is it's very intuitive. The moment that you add in a source, whether it be on a different scene or in another scene collection, it remembers that instinctively. So now when I go into audio output capture, I don't have to start all over from scratch. I can literally just say add existing, highlighted, in any settings, anything that I've done inside of OBS natively will drag over into the next scene if I choose to bring it over as is. So there we go. audio output capture is now brought in as it was on the full screen. And then the exact same thing can be said when we go to audio input capture. So let's go ahead and do that now. Add existing audio input capture. I'm gonna go ahead and bring that in and we're good to go. All right, sweet, awesome. Now we have audio input capture. Now, before that, and let me back up one quick step. We've got our scenes, we've got our input, and we've got our output. But now, before we even begin to think of going to Twitch, we also need to take some time out and configure a bit of more settings behind the background as far as our bit rate and stream keys. Now, this is the most important part of streaming in general when setting up your OBS. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm gonna go ahead and minimize this, and I'm gonna bring up Twitch on the desktop for a bit, okay? So now that we have our scene set up, and before we go live, we need something that's known as a stream key. Now, what is a stream key, you may ask? Well, a stream key is a unique string of characters that basically identifies OBS and lets OBS know that you're connecting your Twitch account to Twitch itself to transmit all of your data back and forth. Now, in order to go ahead and set this up, there's two different ways you can go about obtaining your stream key. And I'm going to show you the long way first, and then I'm going to show you the quick and simple way. But you need to know where to find your stream key because that's important. So right here at the top right, I'm going to go ahead and click on my profile picture, and I'm going to go to where it says Creator Dashboard and click on this. Now, what it's going to do, it's going to take me to my dashboard on Twitch, which is basically the hub of all of your content, where you can look at your analytics, your content, your moderation, your subscribers, things of that nature. But what we want today is going to be under Preferences. And so I'm going to go to Preferences. I'm going to click on Channel. And right here is going to be my primary stream key. Now, for the sake of privacy, you never want to show your stream key. Just copy it like I'm doing right here. Okay. And then we're going to go into OBS. Now, once we're back into OBS, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into our settings page. Now, once we're in settings, we're going to go down to right here where it says stream option right here. Now, here's two ways we can connect to Twitch. We can connect account, which is recommended. It's basically the same way we log into StreamElements. It takes all of that information and auto-populates it, or we can use the stream key. So in this instance, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna use the stream key and I'm gonna control V, and I'm going to go ahead and connect my account. And once again, it's going to ask me to log in with my credentials a little bit. Let's see. There we go. Let me go ahead and enter in this password. Excellent. And now what we're going to do is go ahead and authorize it to recognize our credentials. And now it's authenticating with Twitch, and we're good. It now recognizes us as an official Twitch channel and stream, and you're now set to begin transmitting data to Twitch servers. Now, once you have your stream key set up, there's a couple more things that we need to go ahead and get organized. The second thing I would tell you to do is also look at your speed. Now, streaming as a whole is very dependent on a couple of major factors, but most importantly is your internet upload speed. We have a command in the chat, !speed test, that will basically take you to a website called speedtest.net. That website right there is the most useful piece of advice I can give, most useful piece of resource I can give to you as a beginning streamer or even as an existing streamer, because you need to understand what your bit rate is as far as like in kilobytes per second. So this is actually useful right here. We're going to go down here to output. And in output, this is basically where we enter in our bit rate, our hardware, everything that's necessary in order to make our Twitch stream successful. Which speed is good for stuff as well. That is also very good. And you're very right on that, Morak. I do have rich speed on my desktop as well, too. But sometimes you might not want to go ahead and go through the process of going through speedtest.net. You have it locally right there on your desktop to understand like which server you're getting the best connection to, like during certain aspects of the day for Twitch. So that is important. I'm glad you brought that up as well too. Can't wait to move. My internet speed makes me cry. February 2020, here I come. I always have used the Speakeasy speed test. Speakeasy. Now, see, that's a new one I've never heard about, Melissa. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. February 2021. See, there we go. See, I was thinking, I was like, February 2020. That doesn't sound right. I was like, I think we're well past that point. All right. So now that we have your bit rate and you're looking at your upload speed, okay? And the beautiful thing about speed tests and any other internet speed test channel out there is it'll allow you to convert it so that you can put it in kilobytes per second. Now, for me, we're going to emulate like this is my actual Twitch channel. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select my audio tracks underneath the streaming tab as 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll explain that in another series to come. And this right here is going to be solely dependent on your hardware. Now, if you're a streamer that has a relatively new up-to-date graphics card, like the 20 series graphics card or even the upcoming 30 series graphics card, then you have the option of taking advantage of what's called NVIDIA NVENC. All that simply means is that your graphics card, your GPU, has a built-in encoder chip onto itself, which is solely there for encoding video for streaming and recording, okay? And that dedicated chip is right there for all 20 card, well, I think 20 series, 30 card users, and even some 10 series if you're still rocking with the 10 series cards. So you can take advantage of that. Now, if you're not an NVIDIA user, then you're going to probably be looking at something called H.264. Now, what H.264 is basically saying that I want to use my CPU, whether that's AMD, Intel, whatever the case may be, to encode my video so that I can record and stream to Twitch. But in this case, we're going to go ahead and say NVIDIA NVENC H.264 new because I'm running a 2070 graphics card on this system, okay? I never understood the audio track, so can't wait for the upcoming explanations. Yeah, we're definitely getting there. We're definitely going to get there. That's what that means. Got it, yes. Still rocking the 1070 Ti, but I'm not sure if it has NVENC. Now, here's the thing, Melissa. 1070, I believe, has NVENC, but it's going to be the original NVENC. NVENC new is strictly speaking for graphics cards that are 20 series and up, but I think the 10 series, like 1070 and 1080, have them, but it's just not as good because the technology has severely advanced ever since the 10 series cards were a thing when they first came out. But yeah, it has it, but it's just not as good. So it's completely dependent on your situation and your system. All right, sweet. So now that we have this, we're going to keep this. And what I like to do right here is there's a little option that says enforce streaming service encoder settings. And we're going to talk about that real quick. I'm going to go ahead and check this and I'm going to hit apply and okay, but we're going to come back to this and I'm going to show you why. Okay. Oh, and see, there you go. My little stuff for my Twitch channel pulled up. Hey there. All right, we're going to hit this and then I'm going to close that out and I'm going to close that out. All right. Now, if I can get the command exclamation point guide in the channel, I'm going to show you something really neat that's going to help you out with this bitrate and streaming setup. Twitch itself actually has a streaming guide that's very useful to you. And it's actually right here, stream.twitch.tv/encoding. Now, this website basically will run you down what is necessary in order for you to have the highest quality stream possible for your rig and your setup. So this is the guideline by which I use. Now, say you're a relatively new streamer and you want to have like awesome audio quality that nobody's going to be disappointed in. You want the most stable bitrate possible so that all of your viewers or, new people can find your channel. Then you're probably going to be looking at doing something between 720p 30 FPS or 720p 60 FPS. Basically, this means is your stream quality is going to be running at 720 pixel resolution and that you can go between 30 to 60 frames per second. And this is anywhere between a 3000 kilobyte per second bit rate to 4500 bit rate. And so that's if you're using the NVIDIA NVENC New, which we were just talking about. Now, if you're doing it from your CPU, then you can follow the exact same requirements down here on the right-hand side, and it'll basically give you a step-by-step guide on how to best set up your OBS or your platform of choice for streaming to Twitch. But in this instance, we're going to go ahead and regard this and use it for 720p, 60 frames per second. So I'm going to go back to OBS and I'm going to do my settings. So right underneath here where it says output, we're going to change this to CBR as required by this right here because it's telling us CBR. Our frame rate target is 60 to 50 frames per second. We want our keyframe interval to be 2 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and where it says keyframe interval, we're going to go ahead and hit up twice for 2. Our bit rate, we're going to go ahead and set this for 4500 instead. And we're just going to let it go up there quite a bit until we get to that sweet 4500 spot. And there we go. Do you want high quality graphics when you start? I had a viewer complain that they couldn't lower the quality because Twitch doesn't make that available to non-affiliate partners and their connection wasn't good enough for 720p. I'm glad you brought that up, Radical, because that's actually a portion that I was about to get to right there in just a second. But since we're already on that question, let me go ahead and address that. You want whatever is feasible for your system. Now, this is the key issue, and I'm going to go ahead and go back to the guide and speak about this. Everybody wants to be able to stream in 720 or 1080p graphics. The thing about that, though, is you're not guaranteed transcoding or quality options if you're not a Twitch partner. Affiliates and non-affiliate streamers basically are at the luck of the draw. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. You're just completely up to Twitch's mercy on that one. So what I recommend for a lot of affiliate streamers and non-affiliated streamers is to go ahead and set your stream to 720p, 30 FPS, or 60 FPS. Now, there is another guide that was done by Mac and Cheese, who's a workshop host here at Streamer Square as well too, where she shows you how you can configure your bit rate to be a little bit on the lower end scale if you want to do 480p setup. And that exact same guide applies to OBS.Live as well too. However, for most people, you'll want to do a 720p 30 or 60 frames per second stream because that's kind of the quality. But once again, do what is feasible for your system and for your viewers' experience when it comes to your Twitch channel. There is no right or wrong answer. It's just completely dependent on what you feel is best for your situation. And also, if they're not able to connect to 720p, then it also may just be dependent on their location and their internet. 2500 bit rate is good start for bit rate without encoders. That is true because that'll give you 480p. My IT BFF, the person who introduced me to Twitch in 2015 as a viewer, helped me with all of that. He set me up on 1800 bit rate at 720p, 60 FPS when I had super awesome internet. It still works with my super crappy internet. Does the bit rate also depend on the type of game you're playing? It does in some regards. Now, here's the thing. If you're playing high intensity graphic shooters like Apex Legends, for example, where there's a lot of movement and a lot of things going on, you might want to have a 60 frames per second stream. However, if you have it at 30 frames per second, most people wouldn't be able to tell the difference about your gameplay. You might feel it in your gameplay because, well, obviously it'll be different. But for the most part, 30 frames to 60 frames per second is more than good enough if you're watching a high-paced intensity game like Warzone or Apex Legends. But yeah, it's definitely dependent on the bit rate. Good for slow moving, but if anything moves, that will become a mess. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head right there, Morag. Thank you. Thank you. He is exactly right on that. It just frames per second, frames do matter. So it depends on the game too, how well it'll actually catch up to Twitch servers. All right. So now that we have this set up, we're going to go ahead and I think we're good to go. Oh, we have one more option. we're going to go ahead and set this to quality preset, which is basically just the quality of our video itself going over to Twitch servers. And then the last two things I like to check are look ahead and psychovisual tuning. These two combined basically makes up your we were talking about this with B-frames. B-frames are basically the ability for your computer to look in the past and look forward to anticipate what movement or what scene will happen on your stream. So for the sake of that, I like to keep these two checked. It's optional, but I like these two to check because sometimes if you have like laggy or skip gameplay, then the software OBS will try to correct that by looking in the past and ahead to kind of fill in the gap and make that like a complete scene that your viewers will see on your stream. So I keep look ahead and psychovisual tuning checked, and I'm going to hit apply. Okay. And there we go. Right there. Awesome. Sweet. We are good to go. Now understanding coding more. Thank you. Of course, Melissa. Of course. Anytime. Is my bit rate of 6K oddly high? I think that's my default. It's not oddly high, Radical, if you're aiming for 1080p. If you're aiming for 1080p streams, then that you're in the sweet spot. However, now here's the thing. The higher your bit rate, the higher your the higher your visual quality that's sent to Twitch. So you can stream at 1080p 60 frames per second, but if you're not a partnered streamer, I would urge you to take caution in that because you might not have transcoding options. So say you have a friend or somebody that wants to watch you on Twitch mobile. Well, they won't be able to watch you because they're going to constantly be buffering, or they may not get your stream at all because their phone might not be able to handle, a 6K bit rate. So you have to keep that in mind. While you may enjoy the benefits of it on desktop and seeing all your graphic glory, your viewers might not ever be able to see it depending on what kind of device that they're viewing you from. So keep that in mind if you're not a partner streamer with transcoding options, that lower bit rates might be to your benefit until the day you become a Twitch partner and get the full transcoding options, okay? So keep that in mind. So transcoding is the key to people being able to watch? Yep, 100%. 100%. Do those features put more load on PC? Some impact on GPU, some impact. Not too much, but they do have a little bit impact on GPU, especially if you're encoding through your GPU. I dropped my output resolution, but didn't know bitrate mattered. Yes, bitrate definitely does matter. All right, awesome. So now that we've done that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this as well too. I'm going to go ahead in my settings, and then we're going to also configure our desktop audio. I'm going to go ahead and set this to default, and I'm going to hit apply. Okay. And that's going to add our desktop audio into our source that we were speaking about earlier. So if you set this to default now, what should happen is you can actually keep that audio output capture that we added in, or you can remove it altogether. But by default, desktop audio is now included in your streams and all of your scenes. And that's the only thing that we're going to do on the audio section of our OBS settings. Now, when we go down here to video, this is what we were just speaking about, Radical, and that you just alluded to. You have your base canvas resolution and you have your output scaled resolution. Think of it like this. Your base canvas resolution is whatever resolution your monitor is. So for me, my monitor is a 1920 by 1080. I don't have 2K or 4K monitors yet, so I'm running a smooth 1080. However, what I want to do is I want to output a 720p resolution to Twitch, which means I'm giving my viewers the most stable and most comforting visual quality I can provide with my limited transcoding options that they can view as well too, whether they're on desktop or mobile. So I'm playing natively in 1080, but I'm transmitting in 720, if that makes sense. And then one thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to change my dance scale filter to Lanczos. I can never pronounce that for the life of me. Lanczos, there it is, which basically sharpens the scaling and gives us 36 samples, improving image quality. And then for our bit rate, which we said earlier, I'm going to go ahead and select 60 frames per second right here, and I'm going to hit apply. Okay. And that takes care of our video settings. Lastly, we're going to look at is hotkeys. Your hotkeys is basically what's going to allow you to do several different things inside of your OBS. It'll allow you to change scenes. It'll allow you to do transitions. It'll allow you to mess with your audio, just a number of different options. So for those of you out there who are streaming without a Stream Deck device, you can easily get the exact same benefits of going between your scenes and your sources using your number pad or any keys that are not being used and setting them as hotkeys inside of OBS, which definitely makes the process a lot smoother. I love hotkeys. I swear by them. They're fantastic. Even in conjunction with my Stream Deck to this day, I still use my hotkeys. I never use hotkeys. Melissa, you got to use the hotkeys. Okay, but what keys do I not use? Well, think of it this way. If you have a number pad, say if you're a person that has a full scale keyboard, you can use the number pad as a hotkey to switch between your scenes. So maybe you want to switch to scene and I'll do number pad 1. And maybe I want to do in-game and I'll do number pad 2. So now, at this right now, I can go ahead and I can do apply and hit OK. Okay. And now if you see I do this, using my hotkeys on my number pad, 1 and 2, we can now change scenes on our keyboard without the need of a Stream Deck. Stream Deck, very useful to have, but not necessary as a brand new streamer. You can still get some of the same benefits using hotkeys. Muting audio source, changing scenes for stats. Gotcha. Exactly, Morag. Number of different things that you can use them for. There we go. All right. So what I'm going to do is actually, let me go ahead and hide this. And I'm going to actually hide this as well too. And we have our desktop audio, which is here by default since we went into our audio settings. All right. Awesome. Now that we've configured our bit rate, our settings, and everything else, we're going to get into the real meat and potatoes that I was speaking about earlier. How do we add overlays into our in-game scene and everything else to truly make it unique? Here's where it comes in handy. I'm going to direct y'all to the StreamElements website that we were on before, right? And now, once we're back on the dashboard, we're going to go over here to a section that's called My Overlays under Alerts and Overlays. Now, the thing I love about StreamElements is they come with a bunch of pre-installed themes, just like Streamlabs, that you can select and you can kind of customize and make your own. So say like you're into Hearthstone, Valorant, Fall Guys, or any other game, or maybe you just want a more generic, like, straight to the point theme, then you can pre-install these and get started right away. However, for us who want to truly go above and beyond, we're going to tap into the My Overlays editor. And this is what I mean. We're going to click on My Overlays, and we're going to see that we don't have any overlays as of right now. So what we're going to do is go ahead and create a brand new overlay. Now, it's going to ask, what is our overlay resolution? Our overlay resolution is always going to be the resolution of your monitor or your base, your canvas resolution. So for me, it's going to be 1080, and we're going to hit start. Okay. Now it's going to prompt you. It's going to say, welcome to the new editor. Our mighty overlay editor just got better. Creating a stunning looking stream is simpler than ever. Breeze through this short tour. Normally, I would take y'all through this short tour, but I'm going to explain a lot of this in my own words and in my own way as well too. Okay. So first and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and name our overlay, and we're going to call this our in-game overlay. Okay. And I'm going to hit enter. And we're going to hit save just to save our naming conventions. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to start adding a bunch of sources and widgets in order to really give this the unique touch that we need for our stream. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right here and I'm going to add a widget. And you can either click on add widget right here, or you can click on this little blue plus symbol down here in the bottom left. and both will do the exact same thing. Now, what we want to do is we want to bring in a static image, or we want to bring in a custom image. What I'm going to add right now is an overlay for our webcam feed in game. And so I'm going to click on static custom, and I'm going to go ahead and add in, let's say, we're going to add a video. I'm going to use my actual overlay that I use on my main channel, and we're going to use it for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to go ahead and I say change video, and we're going to select a file. And so I'm going to go into stream assets. I'm going to go ahead and grab one of my overlays from my own resources. And I'm going to, there we go. I'm gonna make it a vertical overlay. Actually, let's do horizontal. We're gonna do a horizontal overlay. And what you'll see right here is it's taking my resource, which is a WebM file for my animated overlay, and it's adding it into my library on the StreamElements website. I do not have to import it directly into the streaming software. This is basically what allows it to be less CPU and GPU intensive in the long run when I'm streaming, because I don't have so many files natively running inside of my streaming software. Okay, and you'll see that in just a moment. Is this a step that varies between OBS and Streamlabs OBS? I have my source and widgets and slobs, just my scenes though. I don't know what overlay does. Exactly. This is what varies between OBS and Streamlabs, 100%. You hit the nail on the head, Radical. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit submit. So what I'm going to do is I can now click and drag this, much like I can do in OBS. I can move it around anywhere I want on the screen, and I can basically make it fit so that when I bring this into OBS as a browser source, I'll be able to size it with the image, and we can get ourselves a full webcam, really bringing our stream to life now. Okay. But we're not quite done. Let's add in a couple more things just to get started. So we have our webcam overlay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add some alerts. Now, the best thing about StreamElements is that it has a very simple system called an alert box, which you have in Streamlabs as well too. But once we click on adding the alert box widget, you're going to see that we're greeted with a whole list of options here. Do we want an alert for followers? Do we want an alert for subscribers, tips, bits, hosts, raids, merch? All of this is basically up to you and at your discretion. For the time being, I'm just going to unclick these, and we're going to emulate followers, subscribers, and a tip, receiving a tip from a viewer, okay? But basically all of these will follow the exact same principles. So now, say we want to edit our follower alert. I'm gonna go ahead and click on this cogwheel, and I'm going to run this default alert right here that they've provided for us. However, maybe I want to change the sound a little bit. Where I can do so, I can upload a sound from my own directory. Now, once again, this is the beauty of having everything on a cloud platform. I can select a file from my desktop, and I can go ahead and I can import it into StreamElements. So stream assets, I'm gonna go to sounds, I'm gonna go to effects, and maybe we want to do the animated wow. Let's see if I can find that one. You know which one I'm talking about, everybody. FBI open up. Let's see. Not that one. Not that one. I believe I want to run with um nope, 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 nope. Huh. Let's go with the Fortnite. Let's go with the Fortnite chess alert and call it a day. Did not know about that about sounds. That's huge. It's very huge. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll do the Fortnite sound alert. I'm going to go ahead and turn that down because that is very loud for no reason. Sorry about that, everybody. RIP headphone users. But you get the point. We can now customize our alerts with sounds and also the video as well too. But I'm going to turn that down because that is loud. I wanted the anime wow alert, but it's nowhere to be found. I'll find it later. Now, the next thing we can do is we can also stylize the way that we want our alerts to look. We can either have it with the text appearing over the image, we can have the text and image side by side, or we can have the image above the text. It's all good. They can't hear here. Okay, awesome. Chat didn't hear that. Okay, awesome. Great job. Just want to make sure. Awesome. By design. Thank you, Morag. You're on top of it as always. All right, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do it side by side with the image and the text beside each other. Now, here's the wonderful thing. You can set how long you want your alert to be. Do you want it to run the full course of 10 seconds? Do you want it as 5 seconds, maybe a little bit longer? Well, you have the flexibility to do that all right here inside of the My Overlay editor on StreamElements. For now, we're going to keep it at a smooth 10 seconds, okay? Now, if you're big into programming and you understand a little bit of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript like I do, then you can also do custom CSS on your graphics inside of the overlay editor. However, that's kind of above and beyond what we're going to do today, so we're not even going to go into that. Now, here's another thing we can do. For all of your alerts, you have something called variation settings. And a variation setting is basically where you can create a variation of your alert depending on certain parameters. Now, in this case, we're doing a follower alert. There's not too many variations of followers that you can really do, so we're going to leave that as just standard. Right down here is TTS. So maybe you're one of those streamers that loves to have like your viewer or have your channel announce or read off text to speech on stream. Well, you can do so. So we can enable text to speech and we can play around with that for a little bit, or maybe we'll just leave it off for the sake of time being. But TTS is there available for you inside of the My Overlay editor. Your text settings is pretty much straightforward as well. This is where you can basically go through and select how you want your text to appear on your alert as it pops up on stream. So maybe you want to use Nonito. Maybe you want to use offside. However you want your stream to look as far as the text goes, then that's made available to you right here. For the time being, I'm going to select Orbitron, and we're going to have fun with that. Okay? You can also dictate the size of it. You can dictate the line height of it, whether you want the text to be bold, whether you want it to be centered, italicized, all that other good stuff that you're used to seeing in like most like text-based format like editors is all here as well too. Okay, so I'm going to minimize that. And then the last thing that we can touch on for this alert is animation settings. Now, the animation settings is what a lot of people have fun with, especially me. It's basically the way that you can say, I want this animation to come both in and out of my stream when I'm actually live on Twitch. So for the purposes of this, I'm going to have it bounce in as the enter animation. And for the exit animation, I'm just going to have it bounce out. And we're just going to do bounce out. Okay, we're going to keep it relatively simple, but feel free to go through these options, figure out what works best for you and your channel, and make it unique. The text animation settings. Now, we can also do the exact same thing with the text. So how about we reverse it? Well, actually, we'll keep it the same. We'll have the text bounce in, we'll have the text bounce out, and it'll do it for a duration of like 1 second, okay? And boom, there we go. We have set up our follower alert. Perfect. And now all we have to do is close this right here on close settings, hit this little X, do that, and let's hit save one more time just to get the ball rolling, okay? Now we can repeat this exact same process for all of our other alerts and all of our other events on stream. Followers, subscribers, tips, bits, host raids, and even merch purchases when people purchase merch through your StreamElements merch store. but we're going to go ahead and keep it super simple here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to emulate a follower event. Now, here's the beauty about this. Before you even import this into OBS, you can see what it's going to look like live here in the editor. And that's going to basically allow you to see it inside of OBS as well too, once you import it. So let's emulate a follower event. And there you go. You see, it's right here. It's popping up and it's right there. And then it should exit in a few seconds. Awesome. So we can do that one more time. And now what I can do is I can actually take this alert and I can go back into my layers. Now, here's the funny thing about StreamElements as a whole. Everything in StreamElements editor works in layers. Anything on the bottom of your layers list is going to be what's in the back. Anything at the top of the list is what's going to be the most prevalent and which you can grab immediately. So for this sake, I want to have my alert box at the top because I want to click and drag it around. So I'm going to drag my alert box right here while leaving my video alone. And I'm going to position it right here relative to where I would want it to look like if I was live on Twitch right now. So we're going to save that. Awesome. And we should be good to go. The last step that we need to do is we now need to create our browser source. Now, this is how we bring it all together inside of OBS.Live. Right here at the very top is what's called a hyperlink. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click on this and copy our overlay URL. This is going to give us a unique link inside of that we can use inside of OBS to basically take all of this data and say, hey, come over and appear in OBS so that I can send you over to Twitch. Okay. So we're going to do that. I'm going to minimize this and I'm going to go back to my OBS. And in our in-game overlay, you remember how we were adding sources in two of our scenes, correct? Well, this is no different. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the plus sign and I'm going to go right here, what's known as a browser source. Okay. We're going to call this our alerts. We're going to call this our in-game overlay because we have our webcam border and we also have our alert box as well too. Perfect. And I'm going to hit OK. And we're going to say make source visible. Make sure that this is check marked. Otherwise, it will be hidden from yourself and from the stream as well too. And hit OK. Now, what's going to come up is this little text box. As you can see, there's nothing in here yet. We're not going to be bringing in a local file. What we are going to be bringing in is our information over from StreamElements. So that link that we just copied, we're going to do Control V and we're going to paste it right there. Now, this is also important. Whatever resolution your asset is inside of StreamElements editor, make sure it's the exact same resolution when you bring it into here. So for this, we're working with a base canvas resolution of 1920 by 1080. So I'm going to change this to 1920. I'm going to change this to 1080. And then we are going to say, okay. Perfect. And that will bring this into our in-game scene. Now, here's the beauty of it. Now that I have my webcam here, you will see everything basically populated over into OBS. We now have the webcam here, and we also have this as well too. And I'm glad you brought that up, Enormous. Shut down source when inactive. I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't hark on that. Make sure you shut down source when not visible, which will also further save you resources on CPU and GPU as well too, okay? Especially if you're going between a lot of scenes inside of OBS.Live, you want to make sure that it doesn't carry over from scene to scene. It's only on that specific scene when you need it. Thank you, Enormous. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you. All right, and we're going to hit OK. All right, awesome. You have to else alerts will echo. Exactly. That is very, very true. All right. So now that we have this, we also have all of our layers. We have our media source. We have our in-game overlay, audio, and input capture. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my media source in here in OBS and I'm going to drag it up because remember, in OBS and in the My Overlay editor, layers do matter. Whatever's at the top will be what's available first and foremost, and whatever's at the bottom is what's in the back and is not easily reachable until it's moved up. If you have any, really, well, I appreciate you being here, Enormous. Thank you. You know what? I gotta say this. Kudos to you and the people at StreamElements for keeping us busy and keeping us on top of our game. I myself have been using StreamElements for a year and a half now. I switched over from a program like Streamlabs, and I'm a big advocate of StreamElements, hence why we're doing this today. So thank you for being here, Enormous. I appreciate you. All right, so now we're going to take our media source and I'm going to basically scale this to fit inside of our webcam box. So remember how we had these anchor points right here? We're going to go ahead and we're going to bring this down. Right, so perfect. And then maybe I want to move it up a little bit. And then I'm going to use my pro tip, which is holding Alt. And I'm going to bring around the edges of this webcam so it's not like bleeding over. And guess what? We now have a webcam, we now have a border, and we now have alerts, which if I choose to do my alerts inside of OBS, it will also now play on the StreamElements editor through their website. It'll also play in OBS as well too. So let's emulate an event real quick. This is muted. I'm going to emulate a follower event. There we go. And as you can see, the exact same animation that is in my editor is now inside of my StreamElements and my OBS.Live as well too. Once again, the beauty of StreamElements and OBS.Live using a cloud-based platform to build your overlays, your alerts, and everything else underneath the sun to free up the resources on your precious desktop computer. Okay? So with that being said, does anybody have any questions? Now, there's a whole list of other things and topics that we could get into as far as setting up your bots, your tipping page, and things of that nature. And maybe we'll get the chance to cover it in the future if StreamElements is so kind and wants us to have us back to do a segment on these other aspects of the website and what you can explore in your dashboard. But this right here is the ground basics of getting started with StreamElements as far as the plugin, your activity feed, your chat feed, alerts, overlays, everything underneath the sun to get you up and running so that you can start your streaming path today. Or maybe you just want to come switch over from a competitor and try out StreamElements for yourself. Just got out the shower, was listening to the whole time. I knew about the sounds for alerts, but can you make custom sound alerts for other arrivals in stream? You can. You can. The fastest way to get going quickest is using one of our super themes, all pre-made and ready to stream. Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up, Enormous. We were talking about this earlier, right before you came in. We were speaking about the super themes, which are all pre-made, because sometimes you like that over customization, but maybe you're a beginning streamer that doesn't want to have, a budget or doesn't have a budget to like hire a designer. We did talk about the super themes inside of the themes gallery at the very beginning. So you can choose from a number of different themes that are both animated and static to get you up and running, especially if you want to find out if streaming is something for you, if this is something that you really want to embark upon and have some fun with. So these are available for you in your StreamElements dashboard as well too. Like each time a new viewer comes in or raids, that one, yeah, you'll definitely have to do that one, Trace. You have to hop in their Discord for support on that one. I just got here. Sorry, I had you. If you already covered it, I use Streamlabs. What is the biggest benefit you see in switching? I'm glad you brought that up, Mac and Cheese. The biggest benefit to switching over from Streamlabs is just CPU and GPU resources. I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for myself. I started out using Streamlabs. I admit it. I'm sorry. I know we're not supposed to, mention the name, but I started off using Streamlabs as a beginning streamer. And it's very user friendly. However, I noticed that it was taxing my CPU and GPU a lot because it's packed with so many features that I was not using. Whether it was the face masks or other things that people, come up with, there was just so many features crammed into the program that I was not taking advantage of, that was just eating away the resources on my CPU and GPU. So for me, I want to go ahead and switch over to OBS Live through StreamElements, because one, Stream Slobs through Streamlabs is basically its own program at this point. It's based off of OBS, but every time OBS has an update, it has to be ran through Logitech and Streamlabs before it can go live. Whereas with OBS.Live, because it's OBS but with a StreamElements plugin, you get all of your OBS updates immediately without having to wait for approval, things of that nature. And also, it's just more customizable once you dive into plugins and other things that can truly set you apart from the next channel over, no matter what directory you stream in. So, great question. I'm glad you asked that. Yes, very much so, Morag. Very, very much edited. Doesn't edit the base OBS, they just get you to install plugin. Exactly. Real-time StreamElements support available 24/7 on their Discord. And I would highly recommend, if you're interested in StreamElements, or if you have StreamElements already, I would highly recommend you go ahead and click on that link and get 24/7 support. I've had issues in the past where I wanted to get a sound alert to work when it was coming to, like, viewers, my subscribers having sound effects. Super kind, super helpful. They jumped right in Discord with me. They jumped right into my channel. We banged it out like during my off hours, and the next stream I was ready to go and my sound effects were working again, especially my sub specific sound effects. So yeah, the support is there, and they're in the Discord. Somebody's in the Discord 24/7 to answer most, if not all, of your questions. Yes, that too. It does improve on the browser source behaviors. I can definitely say it does. That is 100% correct. Let me see. I'm trying to make sure there's not any other questions that I missed, because I want to make sure I'm giving you all of the correct information, especially while we have Enormous here as well too from the StreamElements staff to help us out. Good question. I switched to slobs when it came out, but I've been out of the loop since this came out. Okay, got you, Melissa. That makes sense. But does anybody else have any other questions? If so, then I do highly recommend that you check out this StreamElements Discord. And also, if you want to come by and talk to me as well too, how do the widgets compare from Streamlabs to StreamElements? I've considered switching a few times. The widgets are basically natively made. So if we want to go to widgets, and I can go back to overlays real quick. Let me show this off real quick before we go anywhere. The widgets are hosted and made right here inside of the overlay editor. And there's a whole number of things that you can do. So whether you want your merchandise box, you have a hype cup, you have Capagen, which is one of my personal favorites. And you know what? Let's actually show off the Capagen one real quick, because this is actually what sold me on StreamElements in the first place. Yes, and they do charge a lot for advanced features and overlays, while most of what they charge for is free in StreamElements. Let's go ahead and say I want to do Capagen, and this is a cool widget that I feel like a lot of people will love. Since we're on the topic of widgets, this is one that's exclusive to StreamElements and kind of like their signature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up an emote explosion that's going to go off anytime somebody follows. We're going to show somewhere around 250 alerts, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then we're going to make it a fountain. We want it to bubble up from the bottom of the screen. Is it easier to customize widgets on StreamElements or Streamlabs? In my honest opinion, StreamElements. In my honest opinion, Trace, StreamElements. Not to take away from Streamlabs by any means, but definitely StreamElements in my opinion. Others may feel differently, but I'm giving you my response. StreamElements by far. Yes, this is a StreamElements feature, and this is what a lot of people and myself use on our own channels. So we're going to go ahead and do this. And emote size, custom emotes. We'll go ahead and do this. And we'll just use the Twitch emotes by default, okay? All right, and we're going to select emotes. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a mixture of all the Twitch global emotes. And I'm going to hit submit. And now when I hit save, this is what will appear in my channel on your stream when somebody follows you. A follower event. And look at that beautiful emote explosion happening right there on your stream when you get a brand new follower, subscriber, whatever the case may be. So just one more way that StreamElements is super customizable to give you something different than what you typically see from the next channel over. And one more reason why it's so lightweight but makes such a huge impact when you're talking about making a truly unique channel. So I love it. The Capagen widget is probably one of my favorite widgets and super customizable to a T. You can even set it to your own channel emotes if you wish to do so. Okay, y'all. I think we're a bit over time. I know Morag is probably going to kill me, but hopefully that answers a lot of questions and basically inspires any of you out there to go ahead and get started with StreamElements if you're a brand new streamer, or maybe even considering switching over from another streaming platform like Streamlabs or XSplit or anything else out there. Okay, I love it. The people in chat love it. Consider checking it out. It's well worth it. Okay, and your computer will thank you because everything is cloud-based and saves your CPU and GPU in the long run. But with that being said, thank you all so much for joining me on this episode of the Streamer Square Workshop. If you want to come by and check me out on my own Twitch channel, if you want to know where you can find me, I am at twitch.tv/marvelous_play. And I will be returning here on the Streamer Square channel to do more workshops for you here in the very near future. But once again, I thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And hopefully this was informative. And we will see you all on the next episode of Streamer Square Workshops. Until then, take care, everybody. Later.